Welcome to the AI-driven engineer podcast, where we explore how artificial intelligence is transforming engineering, innovation, and the way industries solve problems. Today, I'm joined by Ermias Hailemariam, an entrepreneur and the managing owner of STEM for Kids Ethiopia, where he's pioneering hands-on STEM education for thousands of students. With over a decade of leadership experience across U.S. government agencies, Peraton and Harris Corporation, Ermias has managed mission-critical teams in finance, technology, and operations before turning his focus toward education and impact. A U.S. military veteran and graduate of the George Washington University School of Business, Ermias brings a rare blend of discipline, strategic leadership, and entrepreneurial drive. His work with STEM for Kids bridges global innovation with local opportunity, sparking interest in science, technology, and engineering at the critical age where children form their career ambitions. So, tell me about your upbringing first, where you grew up in Addis Ababa, right?
Yes, I mean, I grew up in Ethiopia. Uh, for my high school years, I was in boarding school, like advanced mission school. And right after high school, I left for the US, and this is back in 1996. And the first place I went to was Philadelphia. And as soon as I got there, in about a month or so, 2 months, I started school. I started work like in about 29 days, I remember. And then I start school a month after that during summer classes. Um, After going to Community College of Philadelphia for a year and a half-ish, um, I joined the military basically. And I left Philadelphia. So
So what were
my
the
first,
reasons for you joining
of
the
course,
military?
it's a bunch of things. But I think the primary thing is I just want to be independent. The secondary thing is I was always interested in the military, and the American military was like something, I grew up in the days where they were that I've seen the first time American soldiers come to Iraq during the first Gulf War. And you have all this image from the movies and, the whole nine yard. Um, so, the discipline of the military and how great it is and everything. And honestly, yeah, it's the greatest military in the world. I mean, the training is second to none. They will shape you like within few months, they will change you. Like you can, no other institution I know on this earth can be able to change a human being. So, off to basic training. After I went to America, basically after a year and 10 months, I joined the military before I even hit 2 years. So it wasn't very common back then. Like not a lot of people joined,
But I
especially
think
Ethiopian.
growing up, you grew up in during like Derg, like that was like a
Yeah,
very
yeah,
scary regime, right? So at that time, a lot of
yeah.
people would join the Ethiopian military like forcibly. So I would assume that at that time, the military was like something that you like feared.
Yeah, conscripts, feared because they do a lot of abuses.
Hmm.
Military didn't have a good image when I was growing up. I
Hmm.
mean, every image I know is either from like way back in the days, I have family members who were, at least I have one family member who was a general. They used to talk about the old days, the old military academy, this and that.
Hmm.
Ethiopia had some great military and we destroyed it and then we built it back. We destroyed. So like so many of the history is, I guess it's because like Ethiopians fought against foreign invaders, um, as in like as Armenia, whatever, people would gather together and create a military unit and go fight. When they come back, they might fight each other, but that's a different story. So, but I went there. Basic training was in Fort Jackson, North Carolina, and in the military, there's like 260 different jobs that you can do, from like the infantry to artillery to administrative work and anything you can imagine, medical fields and intelligence, satellite and communication. There's all kinds of fields, and I picked finance.
Mm.
So the finance school was also in Fort Jackson, South Carolina. So the one thing you get out of the military is like you see a lot of advanced technologies way before it becomes commercialized in the military. So like back in the 90s, we were already using fully networked computers, you know.
Mm.
We would do our work and we would batch upload it. Back then, you just batch upload it. There's no like direct update to the database or whatnot. So you batch upload at the end of the night, and it gets integrated to the system. And now, after many years, now I understand because I work in DFAS, also Defense Finance and Accounting
Mm.
Services in Indianapolis. Um, the system is very old, very, very old. So that's why you have this brand new system we use at work. And but at the main office, it's a really cobalt based, they say part of the program also is missing, basically. It's like limping along. They try to change it, they spend billions of dollars, but there is a lot of interest groups. They wouldn't want that to change. So technology advancement, you can have the most advanced technology, and you can imagine a place like America, you can still not adapt it because, different interest groups would push things back, and so on and so forth. So the military gave me that exposure of travel, new technologies, using systems and the whole military system. And usually it's like at the minimum 20, 30 years before it becomes commercial.
Really?
There's technology in the military. Yeah, I
I
mean,
see
some
that the
60,
private
50.
industry is always like much faster than the government in all cases.
Nah, no, like one thing you have to understand, Silicon Valley, that whole Silicon Valley was created by, the military spending. So they come and give money to these different research groups, and they are the one adapting the technology first. And it wouldn't become commercialized for the next 20, 30 years because you don't want your enemy to adapt this technology and beat you. You cannot constantly invent, so you keep certain things secret, and that's very natural. Anybody can understand that.
Hmm.
Some technologies actually would not see a light in day because they're just too important for it to be commercialized. Look at what happened when we commercialize drones. All of a sudden, everybody can have a level playing field, right? The Houthis are attacking a multi-billion-dollar ship with like a few $100 drones.
They're
So
using
technology
advanced
is the biggest
technology,
equalizer. They use technology a lot. So now
like American
even like,
technology.
well, I mean, not necessarily American anymore. So like a lot of the Chinese technology was taken from the US. So um they did improve their own things also, but because the way technology cycle works, when it comes commercialized, it gets into everybody's hand. And that's the reason why they keep certain things secret, basically. So from the military, I had a chance to live in Germany because of the military. Went to Kosovo, Macedonia, Bulgaria. These countries, like I got deployed to back in those days. Came back to the States. I went to Indiana University, did my undergrad at Kelley School of Business. Came to the DC area. The plan was for me to become an officer and go back to the military, but I had one surgery because of that reason. And then my mom was sick at that point, so I had to come take care of her. So I came back to DC area and the Washington, the greater DMV area, DC, Maryland, Virginia. They call it DMV area. The DMV area basically is where, at that point, when I moved there, like about 20 years ago, it's a bunch of the defense contracting companies were moving into that area. They're creating headquarters in that area because this new business concept where they say stay close to the customer. So a bunch of them were moving in that, and it was blossoming. And of course, after 9/11, there's a war in Afghanistan, Iraq, and as a civilian, I had to go to Iraq, working for a contracting company, of course. Um, so all these companies are pretty much inventing new things for the military. I call it the military industrial complex, right? So the latest technology, the top engineers, I had to work with those people. And I have seen some cutting edge technologies. Fast forward to 2017. Um, well, 2014, I read a book called Average is Over by, I think, Michael Cohen. He's a professor, economics professor at George Mason University. So basically, what he was talking about was, I don't know why Obama and the rest of them are talking about how to preserve the middle class, because the technology that's coming is going to destroy the middle class. But his concept of the book was like 20% of the population is going to be really rich, and 80% is going to be poor, but happy poor because of technology, a lot of things will be cheap. Now you see all this automation are going to make things really, really cheap. You see the Chinese cars that are much better than the Western uh, cars. I've driven a car in Dubai uh, called Jack. It's basically a competition for like entry level, like the crossover SUVs. That car had a 360 LiDAR technology, huge screen, um, all kinds of sensors, uh, like accident protection sensors, and all that technology on it. Powerful car, good on fuel, and brand new was being sold like 12,500 or $14,500.
Mhm.
The next level competition for it, like from Korea, Hyundai Creta, I believe, is like $30,000. So the Chinese use technology to make things a whole lot cheaper, not just because they have the sheer volume of the, cheap labor, like cheaper, relatively cheaper labor, but they
Yeah.
use a lot of automation. So 2014, I read that book and I said, okay, I need to change something. I need to look into more diversified things, and I need to look into technology, find me a side hustle. Now, side hustle is a common thing these days, the past 5 years. But back then, nobody really talked about it because you do one work. And so I went and opened what was very close to me, like business consulting, accounting, and tax business as a side business. And then that gave me also an idea. I had to set up my server, and I've seen the technology that is coming up. I think it was Microsoft Server 2012 is what I started with. By the time it became like 2016 or whatnot, I see all these advances, like the things that I used to call customer support for, I don't anymore. It fixed itself. The server already programming itself. So I start noticing those early cursor moments in 2014, 15. So we had a lot of change, a lot of merger acquisition, a lot of layoff. So I had to survive all of that. During that time, when my team get cut in half, I had to use technology. Basically, I had an asset management system that I was the system admin for it. So by being creative and linking different types of inventory system that's when the RFID became, very common. There are critical items do we need to inventory, so we start using those things. And then by the time we got to 2017, um, 2000, end of 2016, I was completely going to leave my job and focus on private business, because the way I see it, it's always merger, acquisition, layoffs, and technology destroying jobs. And I needed something solid for my kids. By then, I had like a 3, 4 year old kids.
So your
Um,
previous job was
but
government
my
finance?
No, it's the contractor, government contractor, but
Oh,
still in logistics and finance. So my boss back then, Alex, said, "Okay, just give me some time. We'll give you a position that would, satisfy your needs or whatnot." So I'm glad he said that. I stuck around the fifth merger and acquisition diverse institution that I had to go through. So we created a brand new company from scratch because Harris Technology cut this thing and sold it to a private equity firm, and that became Peraton. And then we start building like the system for it, like the ERP implementation part was like a huge wake up call. Like, and I start seeing some of the technology that was coming our way. That's when I start really opening my eyes. So I had an opportunity as a I was the AP manager in that accounts payable department. If I implemented this OCR system or optical character recognition with some software, I could basically replace 13 out of 15 employees I had at that point, just to keep the cheapest two employees so they can scan invoices and eventually push other companies to send their invoice electronically. We'll pick it from email, voucher it, send it for approval, match it with the purchase orders and the whole nine yards. That's when I start seeing this change coming. So I'm really worried about my job, but then again, I start thinking hard, and there's my kids behind me. Their time, just like your time, is going to be so different. Their time was going to be different. So we used to send them to this Japanese system called Kumon. They do math and English practice 7 days a week. But I said, okay, I have to teach them coding. So I start searching because I already have this side business. I said, okay, let me find some franchise where I can combine parenting and teaching my kids and creating a business together. That way I can spend more time with my kids because in America, the biggest problem you have is spending time with your kids is very difficult because you work, they're in school, you have very little time. So I keep searching and I was searching like franchises like called coding dojos and so on and so forth. So during my research, the more I learned, and remember that server I told you that how it fixed itself?
Yeah.
The more I learned, uh, the more I became more awakened that even programming is going to be out of style. You know, even things are going to start programming themselves, or the
And this
machine
is
is going
all
to start
because of
programming
AI,
itself.
right?
Uh, Yes, yeah, the early cursor AIs were coming out. I remember our database manager would ask me, hey, if you give me this software, we can automate XYZ process. And then lo and behold, I used to work with the executives and I go ask, hey, can you get us this? They will get it. And and boom, like things that used to take a lot of people to solve, it's automated overnight. So
Mhm.
especially on database management, like anything that has to do with data, that's the early cursor of the AI companies. You know, most of them they came uh, to be and they disappeared. That's the problem, right? When these things start developing. Back in the days, like the dot-com bubble happened just like that. A lot of great companies came. Netscape used to be the biggest company. You probably you would probably study it in school about its history and how technology ate itself up. Um, so I see this change coming. So I said, there's got to be something else. And then that's right around that time I start learning what, like our kids used to go to very good school, Octon Elementary School in Virginia. So I keep asking the school or the kids, what are they teaching you? Oh, we learn STEM. Okay, what do you learn in STEM? We code with Scratch and we do this and blah, blah, blah. But the more I looked into it, the more I figure out that they just doing the basic, not in depth. So that also changed my thinking. Instead of looking for a company that just has coding after school classes, I start looking for something that has more related to with the engineering, the technology, the whole all-inclusive field. The more I read, the more I learned that kids really need to learn STEM, like why STEM, why science, technology, engineering, and math. Everything you do in the future, like what we used to do normally, like somebody can graduate from finance school and go work in finance, accounting, programming. But now you have to be multidisciplinary field because these entry-level jobs are going to be automated for the most part. Now
Yeah.
you gotta be multidisciplinary. And like if you want to become a doctor, now you're going to have to understand robotics, very well because you're going to operate with robotics arm. You're going to work a lot of robotics machines to diagnose patients and so on and so forth. So whoever has that knowledge would have an edge in what they do, right? So this is the way I'm thinking, like for my case, okay, they should have this, they should have that. So I found this company called STEM for Kids. So the more I researched it, the more it became so clear they have a winning formula on how to, because you can train a 4-year-old kid. They say from 4 to 14, but for Ethiopia, we made it from 4 to 17 because we included the high school kids. For example, you go to a British school, I mean, Cambridge curriculum most likely, IGCSE, you take that exam,
Yeah.
right? The computer science portion of it. We can really help kids to pass those. So we pushed it into high school. The ones that are in high school are doing like machine learning and um, I'll come to it later on. Like using really like IBM Watson server time. We rent server time for them to do their machine learning on it. So the more I learned about STEM for kids, the more I thought this would be the perfect situation for us, right? Initially, I was going to do it in Virginia, but eventually we changed our mind. There was a lot of change in the US, a lot of social change, especially after COVID. So we decided to pack up and come to Ethiopia. We're going back and forth. I mean, by this time, my kids are, since I couldn't, like, we were not permanently here or there, we had to homeschool them. We use Texas Tech K to 12 education system from Texas Tech University. Um, and that's how basically the past 3 years, that's how we did it. Like we could be anywhere, really. I mean, that's
Do
part of
they
the change
learn
that's
while
coming
living
our
in
way.
Ethiopia?
While living in Ethiopia or whenever we will go back home, basically. So wherever we go, we could be in like vacation somewhere in Africa, and they still doing their classes,
Mhm.
Worldwide, you can do your classes. So we came to Ethiopia, and of course, Ethiopia is a tough market. It's not what it seems to be from the outside. There's huge population, huge demand. Parents are dying to give their kids the best opportunity possible. The demand is off the chart, but doing business in Ethiopia is not one of the simplest things. There's a lot of obstacles. I'm just trying. First time I remember when I first came and I said, okay, I'm going to start with summer camp. This is July 2022. And our computers got stuck in customs for over a month. So the whole summer camp passed by us. But then again, I picked a bunch of computers I have at home, my kids' computer, about 10 kids. We started with those 10 kids. That's how I started out. Now in October of that year, 2022, we signed up a school with a school called MALD. So we start teaching like hundreds of kids at the same time. That was like a big winning situation for me because just to take you back to what a STEM franchise is like, the curriculum is developed by technologists and academicians. You can check it on like LinkedIn. You'll see that those people are really good. The curriculum is developed really well. Uh, on top of that, you have to train your coaches. And for Ethiopian purpose, so because we were so behind and we need to catch up, I hire engineers and programmers, really excellent kids and dedicated for this mission. Really, really, really awesome professionals. I call them kids. I'm sorry, but like young people. They're in their early 20s, mid 20s. So I those kid those that team would take whatever the franchise give us and they would add flavor to it, meaning that they would expand it sometime. Like for example, Scratch, the one we got from the franchise, has been a whole lot improved by our team now. They do all kinds of stuff with it. The same thing with Alice. They took it to a next level because they would sit down as a team and they would look at the curriculum and find a way to expand this curriculum basically. So first year at Mald, We rented an after-school location in Africa Insurance Building in Strata Gabriel. But the concept of after school in our country is not that
It's not,
it's not
yeah,
well understood. Yeah. So parents they pay for private schools, so they expect the kids to be for the kids to have everything there. But
so
that
the
like
students of STEM for kids are primarily from like international schools.
I'll come to that, but not necessarily because one of the greatest program we have is in a school called the Unit Academy. It's
Uh-huh.
around German Adebabai. Now it's becoming international because of the challenge they have locally. But it was local curriculum. But those kids did really amazing. Like the project, the sixth, seventh grade kids, the engineering project, the engineering design process they follow, and the projects they do is really incredible. Like really, really, really incredible. And they present it really well. If you look at it on our YouTube channel, if you Google like STEM for Kids Ethiopia, you'll find our YouTube channel. Those kids do really, really amazing. Really amazing because we've been with them. It's the amount of time the school, invest on those kids that
Yeah.
make a difference, right? And anything is the amount of time you spend. So we've been with that school for 3 years now. The kids are at next level. I mean, we're actually bringing special robotics kits, special uh, we're going to have to implement special softwares to teach them because we're going to have to keep challenging them. Already curriculum wise, the school does really, really well. I mean, it's one of the schools in Ethiopia that has all the students that pass the 12th grade, whatever the national exam. One of the very few. So it's a very good school to begin with.
The
And then,
matrix.
but they needed. Yeah, matric in Middleton. I think I don't know if it's called matric now, but the secondary school exam that they are the ones because it's like only 3-4% passing now.
Mhm.
The only school that has everybody score passing grade is that school. Probably them and another 3-4 schools. That's it.
Mhm.
Um, so we could augment school like that. We could augment them really, really well because now we're bringing the hands-on stuff, the things that they actually need in this time and age. They already have this academic theoretical background, really solid one. When you add this practical things that they would do with their hands, it just becomes next level good for them. So that's how we started. In 2022, we started in a small school, very small kids. Uh, we built the operation team really well first, and we have to invest a lot of money on equipment. That's what I was saying. The curriculum gets developed by professionals, and then now you have to buy a bunch of equipments. You have to buy a laptop. You have to give laptop to every student. Robotics kits are not cheap. Like for three, four, five students, 5, 6 students, your robotics kits is በኢትዮጵያ ብር 100 ሺህ ብር ምናምን አካባቢ ነው የሚሆነው።
Mhm.
እኔም ኪቶቹ ይጠፋሉ፣ ይሰበራሉ፣ ልጆቹ ይዘው ይሄዳሉ። ችግር አለ ነው ኤክስፔንሲቭ ነው። ይህን ስቴም ማስተማር it's very expensive to teach STEM basically because the equipment portion of it become very expensive for Ethiopia. But
Mhm.
what we did different so it won't be expensive because in America, if you have a STEM for Kids franchise, you're charging like $40 an hour,
Yeah.
stuff like that. It's very expensive. We're trying to make it like $3-4 an hour. It's a it's a tall task, it's a very but that's the business side of my mind that works to like working in businesses and managing my own business and whatever. I learned how
Mhm.
to work with like cut price. So the equipment, unless I use it in multiple places, it will be very expensive. I'll be teaching a few well-to-do kids, and that's about it. But that's not how I want it to be. I want every kid to have the opportunity. So I like to have an in-school program because you can reach many kids and you can bring your cost down when you do that. So the way this system works, I can have in-school program, the 4 ways we can do it. They will become part of the curriculum, or have an after-school weekend or summer camp program. We're just finishing up our summer camp this week. Uh, and you can have online program. That's my dream to reach from one into another in Ethiopia because we have the franchise for the whole country. Um,
But
the
most
first
people
one,
have phones, right? So they would just use their
it
phones.
works on phones. It would absolutely work phones on smartphones. Especially, I have this idea if I can work with Ethio Telecom or Safaricom, and they can get tablets from China that are very reasonably priced, and that could do work with well 4G, LTE, and if they sell it with the data to these kids, and we can really reach wide range of people. We could reach tens of thousands of people that way. So my dream, my mission was like if I can teach 10,000 kids, and out of that 10,000 kids, I have 10-year franchise agreement. In those 10 years, if I can teach 10,000 kids, out of those 10,000 kids, 1% becomes incredibly good. We have 100 Elon Musks and, you name it. That would change not only Ethiopia, but the whole of Africa. So that's my dream, basically. Already in about 3 years, we probably taught over 5,000 now, 4,000, 5,000 kids by now, because summer camp also we had a few hundred. So it's progressing really well. So
Could you,
the more I reach, the more like you could have this genius kid at the very remote area in Ethiopia.
Mhm.
Just like providing the opportunity is what I'm looking for next. So when we teach in school, we can reduce our prices significantly because I like economy of scale basically. I
Yeah.
have large I take my team, we bus up and we take our equipment, go to this school, teach down there. Like we'll 20, 30 of us go together and we teach, and then in the afternoon, move to the next school. If I can be able to do that and I can use that equipment in 5 different schools in 1 week, now I can bring that cost down. So that's what I'm working so hard on right now.
Okay.
So far, what I have seen from the kids that we taught in the past 3 years, um, go check out the YouTube channel. We don't we don't advertise too much. We don't try to like scream at the top of our lungs, hey, we're doing this. We're focused on like building a team, building something that can last. A lot of good things get started in Ethiopia and they disappear in a few years. I don't want that to happen because this is the most critical juncture in our life. If we don't catch up with the age of AI, if we don't catch up with machine learning, and this fourth industrial revolution, basically, we'll be doomed. We're not going to fight the next war with the Kalashnikov like we do right now, or defend ourselves with the Kalashnikov like the way we do right now. I mean, autonomous drones, swarms. I mean, you see these technologies coming out. There's a lot of promise in how they improve human life, especially in medicine, manufacturing, uh, mining. Uh, but also, we're humans. We're wired that way. Um, Also, great, great potential for destruction. So, for me, this is more than a mission. So, more than a mission, as in, it's like we were left behind on the third or the second or the first industrial revolution. The first industrial revolution was steam engine, right? Second was electric. Third was computers, digital age. Now the fourth one, what comes after computers working just like us in thinking more than us, better than us, replacing most of the things we normally do right now. So this change, that would mean the smallest country that could implement this one could control the next biggest country. Easy. The small country can punch more than their weight with technology. You see where you live in Dubai, Emiratis investing heavily in technology. Why do you think that is?
Because that's
Heavily
the
on
future.
AI. That's how they're going to control the world. It doesn't matter how small they are size-wise, but if you have the technology and the know-how, you can really punch more than your weight. So that's the world we're getting into. So the good thing is parents understand this really well. They see the change that's coming, and they're the biggest supporter we have. They encourage us. I mean, and then 99.9% of the time, they're thanking us and say, "Hey, please don't disappear. Don't, there's always good things starting in Ethiopia and then disappearing. Please." I mean, I get like a thank you, encouragement. Don't give up. I know stuff here. Just keep fighting. We really appreciate you guys fighting and like all kinds of. But when it comes to policymakers, I don't know how much they would focus on this and work on it because policy always comes way behind in any country, not only in Ethiopia, but in any country. In America, Trump just announced we need to teach AI from grade one, right?
Hmm.
Uh, they're doing that because they know they were left behind. Even if they invented most of these things, they were not teaching their kids what's coming. They were teaching the kids basically for yesterday's industry. And that's what I like. I'm looking at it and I'm like, wait, you're teaching my kids for yesterday's industry, but the world is changing rapidly. And this time around, when it changes, it's going to be a whole lot faster than what happened in the past 50 years. The humans transformed like crazy the past 50 years, right? With all the new technology, with all these things we built. But now it's going to be like exponentially really, really fast. So how can we get these kids get ready for that? So that's the question we have, right? So
So how do
I
you
can give you a
use,
quick example.
yeah, I was just about to ask, how do you use AI
So,
in
like,
Stanford?
so before we get to AI, like they need to understand a whole lot of things. Let me give you an example of how we work in school programs. When we first go in, we teach them programming. We use different type of programming languages, like from scratch to Alice to Python, uh, depending on where they're at in their lives. And the second phase, like this is the first phase of the education in about 3 months. The next 3 months, 2 months, we do engineering. So they're using paper, scissors, and functionally making something, some prototype, right? So by the time they get to robotics, now they have the programming language, they have the engineering design process and engineering concept, problem solving, everything they learned here. They combine the two. When they get to robotics, they're doing STEM innovation. Basically, they're doing creative stuff. They have this prototype here. They're going to change that prototype into a real working machine down here. So, for example, I can give you when we teach uh, biomedical engineering, right? So they start from S, science, technology, engineering, and math, right? STEM. The S part is like they teach them the science. So this is your arm. This is how biology works. Your biology works. This is how you bend your arms. They teach them the biology part, right? And then they learn coding. That's the technology part. And then they learn how to integrate that coding they learn, that concept they learn in the science part and the technology part, and they make prototypes. Maybe they use like straws, strings to create arm, and just by pulling it, making it move, just like do the mechanical part like manually, like with the materials they can find. That
Mhm.
would be the engineering part, right? Um, the math part comes in everything that they do. Like when they program, they're going to have to tell this thing to go this way or that way, do this and do that, right? Those are
Mhm.
numbers, right? Even the science part, there's all kinds of numbers they put. So they take those knowledges and then now they use a robotics kit to build that. The prototype they built with the paper and sticks, they built with a real machine that has sensors, that has motors, that could be assembled, that can act like, let's say, for example, a bionic point where I was telling you.
Yeah.
So the science, technology, engineering, and math, the technology part, the programming part would also have, like, for example, like The programming part, you can start from scratch and then go to Python and data science. Uh, we do web designs, back and front end development for the older kids. The end result would be like I told you earlier, when we get to high school level, we're teaching machine learning and AI. The kids using whatever language they learn. If they learn the Scratch, we use Scratch to teach them artificial intelligence, basically. The way we do it is like we rent server time, IBM server time, um, uh, like a real server time, Watson server time. We get Watson server time, and they use machineLearning.org in order to do their projects on IBM Watson, basically. So the programming part goes all the way to the AI and machine learning part.
Mhm.
The engineering part goes all the way to the Raspberry Pis. We do Raspberry Pis really well. And with the Raspberry Pis, they created like, for example, Bingham Academy, when we started our after school program down there, they sponsored the next door government students, about 26 of them.
Mhm.
And we cut our cost in half. That's our social responsibility. They paid the other half, and we taught those kids. And they use the Raspberry Pis to do like garage door openers and all kinds of stuff. So um, you can really scale up the engineering part that way too. The robotics, the same thing, We go from, we have like, for example, we use Lego kits, Lego education kits. We have the essential kits. We have the prime kits. And they discontinued it, but the EV3 was more advanced. And I'm buying it like from aftermarket now in order for me to be able to give these kids some more exposure. And in October, I'm traveling for Canton Fair in China to see what we're already researching the latest robotics kits they have. So you can incrementally grow that as more and more invention happens. The part goes from like teaching the basics of programming logic all the way to machine learning, artificial intelligence and machine learning. The engineering part from like cupboards and stuff like that, papers and scissors using from that, and to actually doing a prototype using something very serious, and then also working into the electrical engineering field, more of like the hardcore part of the uh, computers, like using Raspberry Pis to create different things with the Raspberry Pis, basically. And also the robotics, it can be really expanded. So that's how it goes. So now we're at the beginner level. We're kind of getting to the intermediate level, but like I told you, Unit has more advanced, so we give them more advanced stuff for those kids. So the amount of time that kids spend with us would determine where we take them from, like the beginning to really high advanced stuff. And that's the reason why we're exploring the Chinese STEM field also, the STEM companies also, because they tend to have more advanced items than the West. So we're augmenting our equipment, we're augmenting our curriculums in order for.
I think the future in the world of AI, what someone should
Okay.
do to, be competitive.
So what you do is like what I did for my kids, basically. I mean, you look for a way to learn these things, right? STEM, for example, teach these kids from scratch and how to program. They can start from scratch to go to Python to AI and machine learning, right? Um, there are structured systems like this engineering concepts from like cardboards and strings and scissors, using those in creating prototypes to um, Raspberry Pis and using more complicated or creating an alarm system. Some of the projects we have in our program, and the robotics part, like we're constantly following the latest robotics. We use the latest robotics kits from Lego Education, and some of the softwares we use, for example, like we use Minecraft, the education Minecraft, in order to for it's more interesting for your generation, right? So they do city planning, we combine civil engineering with the software part. So one challenge that was given to us by Sanford School is for this year to come up with hardware and software combined project for the older kids, which we're gonna do VR that will combine the hardware and software, come up with some kind of project. You can use our kind of structured program, or you can go online and learn a whole lot of stuff. Using the AI tools these days, you can ask any question and get pretty much decent answer, 80% accurate. And of course, you have to add on that and learn more. For your generation, from MIT to Harvard to the European schools, to you name it, they have their education free online for you. So if you limit your social media time and know where you're going, I want to achieve XYZ things. What do I need to learn from that? These days, you can create your own curriculum and create your own college and learn it and create your own startup. I'm 100% confident when I say that you can learn something for free online as long as you have access to online learning, which is a computer and the internet, to creating a startup. You can do that these days. You can teach yourself. Parents can teach their kids using the different tools. We use a lot of open source, like if Scratch was developed by MIT, we use that. Of course, we scale it up, we advance it, we create different projects, we challenge the kids differently. We make sure that no kids is left behind because we do 1 to 5 to 1 to 7 student to coach ratio. So the kids would get real attention. There's somebody, 5, 6, 7 kids, somebody with them, teaching them, answering their question. He's making sure, she's making sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, so on and so forth. Ours is more structured system. It could be given in the school. It could be given after school. Now, one of our centers, we have 3 different centers in Addis, convention center, the new convention center, Machar behind NAC, and then Level, Garamart. All of the centers that we do that. So, but for your generation, you have the blessing and the curse together. You have so many things competing for your attention, but at the same time, there's a lot of free stuff you can learn online. I mean, literally, you can go to YouTube and take a whole, I don't know, first year computer science class from MIT or any of your uh, chosen school. Could be Stanford. So can people be disciplined? I don't know. You asked me a question previously, having this access to all the people, would it make it very competitive? Yeah, how many people are taking advantage of it? You can count how many people watch those videos. So people are more on the fun side of things, like, constant entertainment. And it becomes an addiction. Entertainment, you have to cut it at some point. And they're constantly looking for that high, like the next thing. And so I don't think people are focused. So for your generation, whoever is focused and willing to learn, willing to put the time in, I think he can really, really excel in this time and age. And there's the huge demand for everything that's coming indicates that huge demand for STEM graduates or somebody who integrated in whatever they do, whether you do art, whether you want to be medical doctor, whether you want to be social worker, it doesn't matter. If you can combine these AI tools, technologies, the new technology, you could really excel. And you can serve, instead of one person, you can serve 10 people. Uh, but the artists can really excel. Like they have this idea, this imagination, but they don't know how to get to that point. This tool can aid them in getting there, right? So you see these AI-driven movies that they're making right now, or the images that they create, the painting labs in really crazy. So the future is going to be that whoever has an idea, the tool is going to be available for you. Creativity is what you need. So what we teach in STEM for kids, I'll leave you with this, as we use 4C method of learning: communication, collaboration, critical thinking, creativity. The kids work together as a team. They communicate with each other, and when they present, they communicating to the world. to their parents. Um, they collaborate with each other. They're learning teamwork already. And working together, they're developing their critical thinking facilities big time. And the final one is creativity. Like I tell my coaches, like, don't try to teach ABC 1, 2, 3 like the way you learned it in school. You just, encourage them to be creative. You are called a coach, not a teacher for that reason. You're coaching them to be creative. So whoever has creativity in the coming age of AI, in the fourth industrial revolution, whoever has ideas would really have an amazing amount of tools to be able to achieve those things, to be able to bring those things to life. So if you ask me, what do we teach? Besides the science, technology, engineering, math, the biggest thing we are telling the kids is be creative. Look at a problem around you, solve that problem. They come up with street cleaning. They come up with, oh, in Ethiopia, we have the XYZ problem that we were building this. So creativity, creativity, creativity. So if you have the creativity, the tools are out there these days. Just using ChatGPT or Grok or whatever, if you have an idea, you can come up with amazing things. Amazing things.
Well, Ermias, it's been inspiring to hear your journey. It seems like you have a very optimistic view of the future of AI, especially for the ones that take advantage of it. So, in the future, would you say you have like a positive view of AI? You don't see it as destructive to society in any way?
It could go both ways. So what we do with it, like, we're teaching this in Ethiopia because I want them to create an AI that has God and that has our culture and that has the good things.
Hmm.
The first thing humans did is like create a drone, took a picture, immediately start killing people with the drone. I mean, so
Yeah.
there's a huge potential for humans to do evil things, but at the same time, there's huge potential for this technology to really change human life. I mean, imagine somebody at a remote location in Ethiopia um, having diagnostics done by AI tool, without the doctor being present and whatnot. It would be a life-changing technology for sure. Good or bad, that's something we're going to find out. My
Yeah.
hope is we'll do good by it. Of course, we'll do some bad with it also.
Hmm.
Hopefully, the good will outweigh the bad in the long run. And we teach our kids also, uh, like, to be responsible citizens. Um, One of the things the coaches do is like they explain how these things work, how it relates to one area to the other area, and then they teach them what they can do in real life with that, and also the emotional part, which is social responsibility. Hey, don't go out and do bad things with this. Robots are good if we use them good. So I think if we continue to teach our kids this way, they'll go and do good things. Because every technology that came before now also had equal potential for destruction, right?
Hmm.
Nuclear power. It could be used for electric or could be used to destroy the world.
Yeah.
So, so hopefully we'll do the right thing. That's my hope. And
Yeah.
I'm kind of optimistic we'll do the right thing.
For me, in my opinion, I think I think it's gonna end up somewhere in the middle. I don't think it's gonna be either one way or the other. But I mean, I think you should just always try to take advantage of it, not live against it, because it's inevitable that it will be the reality.
That's the thing. I mean, I'm glad you said that. That's actually very smart. It would be somewhere in the middle, just like it was in the past. We have a nuclear weapon and a nuclear plant, right? Electrical, generating electric for bigger industries. So it will be somewhere in the middle. That's a human factor, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Ermias, thank you for joining us on the podcast, The AI-Driven Engineer. Your insights have been very helpful to our guests and even to me. And yeah, thank you for being on the podcast.